From the very beginning, when we started all of this, we said during the election that we wanted you to join a movement. And the movement was never supposed to be about a person. It was never supposed to be about an election. It was supposed to be about everything we did going forward. It was all about results. So as we are here, this is to talk to you about where we're going, what we want to do, and the results that we want to give you. The first thing I will tell you is that the House and Senate is working. Your House members are not here because they are where they should be. They are fighting the good fight with the House budget. And I see two great senators here, Senator Greg Freiberg and Shane Massey, that are here. So thank you for being here. I appreciate that. You know, the first challenge that we had coming in was to get great people in our agencies. And so what we did was, you all know that when I was Nikki Who, I didn't have the establishment. I didn't have the money people. And so the great thing was when it came down to the agencies, I didn't know anybody anything. So I could put the best and the brightest in those cabinet agencies, and that's what we did. We looked for the best in the country when it came for a Health and Human Services Director, and we found it in Tony Keck from Louisiana, who reformed the healthcare system in Louisiana, and he's going to reform it in South Carolina. We brought in Lillian Collar from Hawaii, who is running our DSS agency, and just to show you some things that she's done, she reduced adoption cases there by half. She reduced child re-abuse cases by 2/3, and she did it by saving $400 million. That's what we now have. We put people like Judge Byers, who had been in the Department of Juvenile Justice, and completely reduced recidivism rates beyond historical numbers that we had ever seen in South Carolina. We've now put him in corrections and said, everything you did in DJJ, we want you to do in corrections, because it is not about how cheap we can get a meal behind the wire. It is about how many of those meals we are having to get. We need to reduce the recidivism rate. We need to reduce the number of people coming back behind that wire. So Judge Byers will do that, but we have a whole slew of great cabinet members, and I want to thank these two senators because they gave it to us and approved it in 6 weeks. Thank you very, very much. We walked into 3 deficits. One was a $28 million deficit with DSS, a $7.5 million deficit with corrections, and a $228 million deficit in Health and Human Services. We completely cut out corrections and we cut out DSS. How did we do that? We resolved them by sending them back and saying, go find the money. We are not going to have deficits on our watch. And they did things like this. DSS turned around and took a contract where we were paying millions of dollars to take people to training. And instead, they issued out $75 debit cards so that people could get themselves to work, saving $5 million. It was creative things like that that we started to do. And we immediately released those two deficits. The $228 million deficit in HHS, the reason that we couldn't resolve that one is because we are the only state in the country that doesn't allow the flexibility for our HHS director to drive costs out of the system, to actually negotiate with providers. So we went to the Senate and we said, we have got to do this. If we've got this great person in HHS, untie his hands and let him do the reforms that he needed to do. I will tell you, under tremendous pressure from all of the providers and from all of the special interests, the Senate came through and they passed it. And again, Senator Freiberg, Senator Massey, I thank you. You were both with us. This is the report card that everybody's talked about. Some said, wait a minute, what are you doing? You shouldn't be judging legislators. You know, you take it for what it is. What I promised you in the campaign was that I wasn't going to expect you to come to Columbia to find out what was going on. I was going to come to you. And so that is the reason why I'm doing this set of town halls, is to keep my promise. The second thing is, I said that I was going to let you know what our agenda was and which legislators were with us and which legislators weren't. And you were going to be able to make that decision when the time came. That is what this is doing. If they want to take it as bashing, they can. That's not the intention. It's education. It's informing. It's me making sure that I'm giving you the information so that you can make good decisions. So this is where we are. These are the issues that I asked them to address. No surprises here. This is everything we talked about on the campaign trail. So let's start at the top. The #1 issue I've been fighting for 3 years is Every person should know that it is permanent law in South Carolina to know how your legislator votes. It's an easy, no-brainer thing. It would take us to a level in South Carolina where they would view our state totally differently. I was speaking at a governor's forum, and they found it so odd that we don't have it in law that legislators can vote on the record, because there was a roll call vote that gave House members pay raises. That's what started this. There was a reason for this. So as political as some people try and make it, it was because there was an action taken. This is the solution that we came to. What I want to thank is your House passed it to become permanent law very first week. So thank them for that. They moved very quickly. We have had consistent trouble in the Senate because there are a couple of members in the Senate that still seem to believe that it is unconstitutional for you to know how they vote. I will tell you this. Rules protect legislators. Laws protect the people. We had, there was quite a bit of stalling up until now, but they finally took the bill up today. And I will tell you, there was a full day of debate on an amendment that would bring it back to the clean version where it is permanent law right now for everybody to know how it's voted. Senator Ryberg and Senator Massey have fought the good fight. We're not finished. Tomorrow is the day. Thank you. Hold strong. We need you. I appreciate you very much. Because one of the things I want to make sure that we're clear on is on this, I'm going to let you know when legislators do the wrong thing, but I'm also going to let you know when they do the right thing, because it's not easy. I was a legislator. There's a lot of pressure. When they do the right thing, thank them for it. Because if you do, they'll do it again. When they do the wrong thing, ask them about it. Push them. Let them know that they work for you. So on the record voting, tomorrow could be the day that we actually get on the record voting, you know, from the House and the Senate, and we can get used to a bill signing. And I will tell you right now that if we get that bill, there will be a huge tea party on the steps of the State House when we sign it. And I want every one of you here. There is what I call the big, green, ugly monster in South Carolina. We're the only state in the country that has it. It is the Budget and Control Board. It is where millions of dollars go in and nothing comes out. So we are focusing on trying to get a Department of Administration. Imagine, just imagine, every agency combining their human resources departments, every agency combining their IT departments, every agency combining their procurement. All of those things come together. Imagine how much money we would save. Imagine how efficient it would become. And imagine how transparent you'd be able to see everything that's going on. That's what we want in the Department of Administration. Your House passed it. They just passed it last week. Make sure you thank them for it. That was important. We've got spending caps. Your House passed that last week. We have said over and over again that we have to live within our means in our homes. We have to live within our means in our businesses. Government can't be exempt. We need to have spending caps. The reason we are in the situation we are today with the budget is because we ran up the credit card. We can't run up the credit card again. The only way that this challenging time is worth it is if we learn from our mistakes. Let's make sure it never happens again. We need to have spending caps. Income disclosures, it goes back down to the fact that everybody should have to report their income. Everybody. Especially if they do business with city government, county government, state government. Because if they are making money off of government dollars, you need to know it. Two things will happen. One, they'll know when to recuse themselves from things they shouldn't be voting for. And two, they'll stop pushing legislation that's not good for the people. So we need to see that. We're not getting any progress on that yet. Surprisingly, the 72-hour wait on the budget. We had a rule in the Senate that gave us 3-day wait on the Senate budget. This is the problem. The House passes a budget. They send it over to the Senate, and the Senate passes the budget. They come together for a conference committee. And literally within just a day or two after the conference committee, it's dropped on legislators' desks, and they have to vote on hundreds of pages of a budget, and they don't know the changes. I was part of that. I know what it was like when you said, we don't know what this is. I asked for a 24-hour wait one time. They wouldn't give it to me, and so you're taking the leadership's thoughts on whether it's good or not, and you come back to your constituents and you don't feel protected. What I'm asking for is a 3-day wait after conference committee to make sure that you have time to see how they're spending your taxpayer dollars. I have time to see how they're spending your tax. Probation, pardon, and parole. Thank you. With corrections, That's another reason why we need to merge it. And to make sure that we're not just focusing on inmates when they're behind the wire, but what are we doing to make sure that we connect that to when they leave behind that fence? Because we've got to make sure that the training is in place, the rehabilitation is in place, and we are doing something on the outside as well. We will save more money when we do that. That is going well. The Senate has it in subcommittee. Senator Fair is pushing for that. We really need that to become law. That's an important thing. The House gave it to us. We want to appoint the superintendent of education as long as there is only 1 out of every 2 kids graduating in 4 years. We need to have the superintendent and the governor working together. Your governor needs to be accountable for how much is spent in education and what the results are. The House has allowed it to go on the ballot for you to decide. We are asking the Senate to do the same thing. Contact your senators and let them know. The House also gave us that the governor and lieutenant governor should vote on the same ticket. It is ridiculous to have 2 different agendas going at the same time. They have allowed that. That is going on the ballot for you to decide. We'd ask for the Senate's help to make sure that that goes through so that you can have that chance. Tort reform, good for business, keeps us going strong. I can tell you that we are, my #1 focus is jobs. And every day I'm on the phone with companies asking them to come here. And guess what? They want to come. And the reason they want to come is because we're pro-business. They love the fact that we're a right-to-work state. Good one for us. We are watching things move, and I will tell you, I am getting progress from both the House and the Senate. But this is where I need you. See these checks on this side? See these checks on this side? If you don't have 2 checks, that's not good for the people. This is great wins for the Senate. These are great wins for the House, but the people don't win. We can't continue to have debates for 4 weeks on raffles. We need to be debating things like this. That's what we do.